Okay, so we're recording now. But yes, so this is Brightly's Changemaker Coffee Chat, where we all come together to discuss topics that you, the community, have been asking us. So we're always, listening to the conversations and the questions that you have around ethical and sustainable living. And one of those questions is, how do I live ethically and sustainably because of X? So a lot of times it's location. Sometimes it's because you are living with a family that might not share your values, or maybe your roommates don't. Another thing is, what happens if you don't simply have the budget to live ethically and sustainably, or you don't think you do? We are going to discuss all things related to this today. And yeah, Lisa, I'll let you take it over. I'm going to just make sure that everything is working as anticipated.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Caroline. Hello. Great to see
Hi.
you.
Nice to
So
see you.
we'll give people maybe a couple of more minutes. I see more and more folks tuning in. Feel free to have your camera on or off. I always encourage everyone to jump in and not to be shy and ask questions Caroline asks, or just open it up to the community. So we can have a kind of more of a conversation going. The main reason why we started this coffee chat in the Zoom format, just when, the whole COVID-19 craziness kind of started happening, was that we wanted to have it more interactive. So I always love to encourage everyone, don't be shy, jump in with questions for Caroline. Or another option for you is to drop them in the chat. It's at the bottom of your screen. So just drop them there and I will read them out loud for Caroline as well. And we're live on the Facebook group and on our Facebook page as well. So I'm going to be monitoring comments and questions there as well. Please say hi if you're watching in the comments on the Facebook group or on the Facebook page. And yes, everyone, please feel free to jump in with questions. And as Laura mentioned, probably, the topic of today's coffee chat is something very kind of near and dear to Brightly. That's like the cornerstone of what we're trying to do and be at Brightly is approachable sustainability. So how can you be sustainable, lead a sustainable lifestyle, no matter what your circumstances are? I will briefly give a spiel about Brightly for those of you maybe new to us. Our goal at Brightly, and something I've discussed with Caroline and we're kind of 100% aligned on, our goal at Brightly is to inspire billions of people live take small steps towards sustainability rather than having thousands of people live a fully 100% zero waste lifestyle, as an example. So we have community members and podcast listeners who are vegans and vegetarians, and folks who are just like Laura and I, we eat meat, but we are trying to be more conscious about what we eat. We have people living a fully zero waste lifestyle. We also have people who are just starting their journey on ethical fashion route as well. And it's completely fine. We welcome everyone, and we kind of want to be on this journey with everyone, no matter where you are in your life, in your situation. So without further ado, why don't we I'll give Caroline some time to chat about herself, introduce herself and her brand Fair Harbor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura and Lisa, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be a part of this. I've been really excited to be here and chat with you and have a little conversation about sustainability and moving forward. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I'm the co-founder and chief creative officer of Fair Harbor. I started Fair Harbor with my brother about 5 years ago, and we are a swimwear company and make all of our products out of recycled plastic bottles. Ultimately, we create products for you to enjoy the places you love while protecting those places too. So to give you a little bit of background, I actually started Fair Harbor when I was a senior in high school. So growing up, our family went to a place called Fair Harbor, Fire Island. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Fire Island, but it's a small little island off the coast of Long Island. There's absolutely no cars on the island. It's actually only 100 yards wide, and it's about 22 miles long. So you can quite literally see the bay from the ocean and the ocean from the bay. And it's such a spectacular oasis that our family grew up going out to. It's really laid back. It's simple living. It's where we learn to swim and surf and fish and really just love and respect our environment. And those feelings, really resonated with us and stayed with us years later. However, as we got older, we started to witness more and more plastic waste wash up on the shores and stayed on the beaches. And because it's essentially Fire Island is essentially a glorified sandbar. It couldn't go anywhere. And so growing up, I was known as the tree hugger of the family. I've always kind of believed that we have to live a sustainable life in order to keep the planet the way that it is for generations to come. And so I've always kind of lived by those morals and those values. Fast forward to high school, and I actually had my own fashion blog. And I loved fashion. I found that it was a way for me to have a sense of purpose. And I also wove in my love for sustainability by talking about just consignment shopping and how people can reuse clothes. And I really saw how they melded together. Anyways, so fast forward to when I was a senior in high school, my brother and I started to dig in more about what people were doing on the fashion front and on a larger macro scale to really combat sustainability and to make the world a cleaner and better place moving forward. So during my brother's junior year of college and my senior year of high school, we actually found this polyester directly made from recycled plastic bottles. And with that discovery, we connected it back to our love for Fair Harbor. And so we created Fair Harbor Clothing, a mission-driven brand to create a culture that makes sustainability approachable, and creating all of our products out of recycled plastic bottles. So as I said before, our mission is to create products that people love while protecting those places too. And that's a little bit about me and Fair Harbor in general.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to go to Fire Island. I've never been, but I just seen the most beautiful photos and it just looks so fun. So what an awesome opportunity you got to do that growing up.
It was amazing.
I wondered if you could kind of walk us through your path to equating the plastic that you saw on the beach with the need for wanting to educate others about ethical and sustainable living, through a company. Like, this is the approach you took, but I'd be curious to know, what that journey was like for you.
Absolutely, and I think Lisa brought this up too, and when we were speaking about just what you guys are trying to do at Brightly, it's what really has resonated with us and why we wanted to create Fair Harbor, and we live and breathe this approachable, sustainable life, because something unique about our products is a 6-year-old boy can wear our kids line and also a 70-year-old man, because we, for right now, make men's swimwear, but we wanted to create a company that anyone and everyone could be a part of. And that's how we approach, our affordable price points and our sustainable fabrics, and allowing everyone to be a part of our community, no matter where you are and who we are. And we felt that this is something that we really wanted to stand for, is how can everyone be a part of our family and about our community. And I totally agree with you, Lisa, what you said before, is how can we collectively motivate people to make small changes in their life, so all of these small changes accumulate to an incredible impact in our environment and our world around us. And this is something that I feel so passionate about, and we try to lead by example. So by doing cleanups and by showing people how, just a small change of bringing a reusable water bottle can create and, can decrease the amount of plastic bottles that end up in our landfill. It's crazy that over 50 billion water bottles are used and discarded after just one use alone in the US. And how can we just make small changes to try to mitigate this massive issue that's happening in the world? So that's why we created Fair Harbor. And I think that too, starting off in such a young age, of only being a senior in high school, this whole brand and company has developed out of passion. And we're so incredibly passionate about the work that we're doing that we're just continuing to push forward and be dedicated to the mission behind our company.
That's awesome. And yeah, we had a previous coffee chat with Liz Seagren, who is the Fast Company editor, but she also just wrote a book. I forgot what's it called. Do you remember what's it called? Something about,
the rocket years.
The rocket years. Yeah. So basically all about how the decisions that you make in your 20s, how it's kind of like a foundation for who you are in the future, but it's also applicable to different generations. And we chatted about how important it is, to be kind of educating our family and kids from super early ages about all of these things. It's just like she was talking about, interesting aspect was like how easy it is to form habits when you're younger and how much more difficult it is when you're older. And we're like, yes. So yeah, so you kind of briefly touched upon it, but yeah, let's talk about sustainability defined. I'm curious about like how would you define personal sustainability, and what does it really mean to you, but also to Fair Harbor as a brand?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You can get really complicated with the
Mm,
definition of sustainability. You can get really abstract for, the everyday user and the everyday consumer to digest and understand how that's applicable for them. But we try to make it as easy as possible. And ultimately, we believe in leaving the world better than we found it and using our products as a platform to promote the mitigation of single use, a mitigation of plastic waste. And ultimately, I think leaving the world better than we found it can be as simple as picking up a water bottle that you find on the street, or making more conscious decisions about what your dollar means and who you support and what kind of, articles of clothing you buy and really how you live your life. So I think that people can use that in their own lens and create their own life that they want to. But I think that it's really, imperative that people at least try to become more conscious of the world around them and their impact. And I think even in the world that we're in right now, of people living at home, I personally find myself too much more aware about, the food that I'm buying, the waste that, I'm potentially could contribute to my environment or my family's now that I'm living at home and there's 5 of us under the same roof. How we can mitigate the amount of food waste. And I think just being in a confined environment, we become much more aware of the products that we're using without the distractions of everyday life. So ultimately, I know that's a little bit of a tangent, but ultimately, I think we believe in leaving the world better than we found it. And that's kind of the values, the ethos, and the morals that we live by, both as people and as leaders in the space of sustainability and through our company. And on a company's platform, I think it's just constantly pushing ourselves to be more sustainable and to leave the world, even cleaner and better each day with, whether it's the product expansion or our supply chain and everything like that, we think through the lens of that simple sentence. And it's easy just for us to think back to that.
yeah. Laura, you want to take the next question?
Yeah, for sure. So I love your definition of living sustainable, because I feel like, everyone has a little bit of their own twist to it. And I think the insights that you just brought made it much more accessible. So I'd want to know a little bit more. I know that Fair Harbor is specifically focused on plastics and taking plastics from the beach, cleaning them up, getting them into your fabrics. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about sort of what that looks like from a business perspective, like where you actually source your fabrics. And then maybe we can kind of talk a little bit about the overall problem of how plastic waste is really impacting the environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we started Fair Harbor 5 years ago, no one had heard of polyester directly made from recycled plastic bottles. And we actually did this mock Shark Tank competition for our initial round of funding. And we pitched our concept in front of Jessica Alba and then MC Hammer and Neil Blumenthal, Jennifer Hyman, and a bunch of celebrity entrepreneurs who are also in the sustainability space. Like Jessica Alba had the Honest Company. And even when we showed her the polyester, she's like, wait, that's made from recycled plastic bottles. And it's just, it's been incredible to be a leader in the space of sustainability because we're constantly searching for more and innovative fabrics around this recycled plastic. And we always kind of think about how sustainability can apply to Fair Harbor and how we both apply to sustainability. And ultimately, we focus on creating premium products with a purpose that both are sustainable and fix the problem. And I think that's imperative when we think about technological innovation and how can we make our products more enjoyable and more comfortable. But ultimately, I think making it more simple for everyone to understand. Basically, we take the plastic bottles and the plastic gets shredded into these small filament particles, and those filament particles get woven into our thread, and that thread then gets turned into our fabric. And on average, each of our pieces of swimwear are made from 11 recycled plastic bottles. And we actually have a bottle counter on our website too, where we're already up to over 2.5 million recycled plastic bottles by the end of the year.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so we try to make it easy too for our consumers and our customers and our community to really understand what we're doing and how they can also be a part of that change too. Even just deciding to purchase a pair of Fair Harbor, they're purchasing they're putting their dollars towards a cleaner and brighter future, as we push our efforts to become more sustainable. But it goes beyond just the products and the community events of cleanups. We're really thinking about this 360 perspective on consumerism, and we actually implemented this program called the Round Trip Initiative, which people can send in their old swimwear, and we'll send them a $5 credit for a future Fair Harbor purchase. And so we'll recycle their swimwear, and then they can use that credit to buy a pair of recycled plastic, piece of swimwear from recycled plastic bottles, to really create that circular economy and show people how that supply chain really works.
That's so exciting to hear. I mean, you're not the first brand, but it's definitely a very new thing of brands who are actually engaging in the circular economy, and it's so amazing to see more and more brands doing that. Obviously, Patagonia is probably everyone's close to everyone's heart, and one of the first brands, if I'm not mistaken, who started in the circular economy space. And then Nisolo was in one of the coffee chats. The shoemakers, they're also starting to accept the used shoes so that they can properly make use of them in the most environmentally friendly way. So that's amazing. And the fact that we're seeing more and more brands not just producing ethically, not just using recycled packaging or compostable packaging, but even thinking about what do you do with the product after the consumer kind of used it all up. That's amazing, and that makes us excited at Brightly for sure. So let's talk about plastic. So tell us a bit more, maybe I'm sure you know all of the numbers, but what is the plastic problem? How does it look right now? And maybe if you like the silver lining, how are we making progress in terms of reducing plastic pollution in the world?
Absolutely. To Lisa, what you were just saying, and I think that this time has allowed us to come together with a lot of other sustainably focused and minded brands. And it's amazing what the work is doing, on a collective level, and how we can all come together to work towards, while sometimes we are looked at as competitors, is how we can really be a community and, define, bring down those walls and actually come together to work towards a brighter future. And, it's crazy that estimated by the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish.
That's insane. That's just crazy.
It really is. But you can get doom and gloom, like there's a truckload full of plastic dumped into the ocean every minute. But what we try to do is have an optimistic twist to it. And, by you not using that recycled, or by you choosing to use a recycled plastic bottle and not reaching for the plastic bottle, we can all work towards, decreasing the amount of plastic waste that ends up in our oceans and our waterway. By showing people how to live more sustainably. If they are able to just go out and do a cleanup with 5 people or 10 people or 20 people, once we're able to come together as a community, just showing people how their small impact can really create a cleaner, brighter future. And it's easy to get into the statistics of, how much plastic and waste there is, but we try to, have this approachable, sustainably focused mindset where everyone can be a part of our brand, everyone can be a part of these cleanup efforts, and when we all come together, we can truly do amazing things, which gets me excited. I know it gets other people excited too, especially I think energy is contagious, and this time apart too has allowed us to just kind of relax and reflect and regroup, and just how can we combat this issue even more and come be stronger when this whole thing is over together.
Yeah, I want to open it up to the folks tuning in on Facebook and here on Zoom. If you want to share with us how you are trying to reduce your kind of plastic consumption, even tiny small steps. Like I'll give an example. We used to actually reuse our Ziploc bags, like we wash them, which is kind of like but that's one way to go about it. Another way is obviously buying the silicone bags instead of the plastic bags. Obviously, I think it helps us with reduce our plastic bottle consumption once we are at home. There's definitely no reason for us to use plastic bottles, not using plastic straws. And depending on where you live in the US, different states have different regulations. So why don't you guys drop in the comments below in terms of like how you are reducing your plastic consumption. Again, it can be tiny examples, but I would love to hear from you of that. And then
and I have something to share too. One of the things that we get asked a lot about is, like how do I contribute if I'm on a budget? Or how do I contribute if I'm not 100% sure what I should do next? And one of the things you can do is just educate yourself. That's free. And you can actually use that knowledge that you have to, spread knowledge around. So an example of this would be, my husband and I just watched, and I'll put it in our chat link, but there's a documentary on Frontline, PBS Frontline, it's called The Plastic Wars. And it talks about the history of plastic creation and consumption in the United States. And it's, of course, because the issue itself is negative, it is a little bit of a hard watch. But I will say I learned things like, we are lucky if 10%, and it's usually less than 10% of the plastic that we put in the recycling bin actually gets recycled, which is crazy. Like, I didn't know it was that low. And the documentary talked about why we have such a culture of plastic consumption. And so, yeah, I mean, just finding time. Unfortunately, now I feel like we all either have a lot more time on our hands now because we're at home, or we have a lot less because we have to be on all these Zoom calls and things like that. But I do think that if we can take our time, as much as we, as much as they like to say time is money, yes, it is, but it also is free if you want to spend it doing things to help the environment.
Well, I think that's a great point too. And just thinking about, going back to the 3 R's, and it's super simple of, reduce, reuse, recycle. And reducing is free. Reducing, what you buy and what you use, that anyone can do, no matter who you are, no matter where you are. It's just being more mindful and aware of the products that you're using. You don't have to constantly reach for that plastic fork on your way out of the restaurant, or not even a restaurant, but you can bring a reusable plastic or a reusable bottle, and all these small changes can really, accumulate to a big difference. And I think that that's just the first thing of that's free, is just being more conscious of your everyday decisions, because ultimately they can have a big impact. And I think that's just applicable for everyone.
Sorry, I was muted. So let's talk about, the broad and macro trends with defining sustainability in business specifically. You can connect it to your own personal sustainability journey, but on the business level. And something that I wanted to mention when you said earlier, like joining forces among brands, 100%. I mean, this is also why Brightly exists, because you as business founders and business leaders, but also you guys, everyone listening as ethical community, ethical shoppers, as we call them, you are making a huge impact by voting with your dollars, by supporting the smaller ethical brands and taking the market share from the big box companies who are not doing things ethically and sustainably. So that's a huge impact. And yes, when only if we join forces together as ethical brands community, this is the only way we can kind of stand up to these big players. Big players are in big trouble right now. I mean, unfortunately during COVID-19, but you as consumers can make a huge difference, and we as brand leaders should be joining forces. Absolutely. Sorry, back to the question, but I just remember.
No worries. No, I totally agree with that. And I think it's just, thinking of at a macro level, but how businesses overall can be more sustainable and challenge these processes that have been in place for so long and then are outdated, and how can we really challenge these to become more sustainable. For example, we just changed over all of our poly bags this year, and they're 100% plant-based now, and they're biodegradable. And unfortunately, up until last year, we didn't have the minimums to do that, but we're constantly looking and challenging our own supply chain and our own business practices to be as sustainable as possible. And, now we've mitigated all single-use plastics from our supply chain, which we're incredibly excited about and proud about. But it's, how all of these small changes, as I said before, can accumulate to a big difference.
Oops, did we lose Caroline? Okay, maybe it was just me. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear me?
Zoom, yeah. Zoom is struggling. Hopefully it's just on my end.
Oh, I think, let me know if that happens again, because I just got the notification. My internet is unstable, which is never a good thing. But so I think it's just overall, we actually did this Stand with Small campaign where we came together with other small mission-driven companies, which just shows that, companies of any size can make a difference, especially when we come together. And I think it showed the power of that people really want these mission-driven, conscious brands, on the forefront. And I think too, this whole time has allowed us to just kind of reset a little bit, what the world is going to look like when we re-enter it, and how people are more conscious consumers now more than ever because of everything going on. They're conscious both, the companies that they're supporting and also their self, and how, the treadmill beneath our feet has been moving so incredibly fast for so long that all of a sudden now the world is quiet, and we can, all of a sudden listen to ourselves and really be more in tune with both our minds and our bodies, and just what the value is of our dollars. And I think it's exciting too to just think about the new possibilities, and what that world is going to look like once we've had time to reflect and relax and regroup, both on a personal level and on a business level. So I don't know too if you guys have been seeing that on Brightly and how that's maybe shifted your plans moving forward. But it's definitely going to be a different world, I think, and where we have the time to shape it right now.
Exactly. No, absolutely. I think this line of thought has been brought up in almost every one of our coffee chats and recent interviews. And because we truly see COVID-19 as a global reset, and we try to kind of have, again, positive spin on things, on these things. Like, I think we're all feeling, we finally suddenly, for the first time in our, probably generation in our lives, that we had time to slow down and think about things that we're doing, things that we're consuming, and things like that. I have few comments from the community, which is awesome. Thank you guys for typing them up. So Caitlin on Facebook, she's saying, I've tried to limit single-use bottles by using tumblers, and I've also been using metal straws in place of plastic ones. So that's a great one. Let me see. And then we have few folks in Zoom. Larissa is saying, I'm working towards more education and reducing my plastic waste by only buying from package-free shops and trying to grocery shop with my own bags. We can't do that, I think, still in California, maybe in other states. We can't use our own bags, but hopefully they will come back soon. She's using also glass bottle in bulk stores. It has definitely made me more conscious at the minute packaging I buy with food and makeup. Yeah. Also, a capsule wardrobe is something I'm exploring, which is really amazing to hear from Caroline about her company's ability to reuse her swimsuit and thinking about the cycle of products and economics. Bailey is saying, I do not put fruits and vegetables in plastic produce bags. I just put the fruits and vegetables directly into a canvas bag and take it out when I'm putting it on the grocery bag. Great. This also encourages me to wash everything very well. Today I bought a toothbrush made from recycled yogurt cups. That's cool. Feel free to drop the links below to some of your favorite products too, you guys. Ivy is saying, education is definitely a huge step. I love Lush products, but with stores being closed and my shampoo bar almost running out, I had to order online. When I got a package full of packing peanuts, I was super disappointed. But just by tweeting out to the company, I actually found out that packaging peanuts are made from potato starch and dissolve under water. That's awesome. So don't be afraid to reach out to some of your favorite brands and push them to make decisions like that, or find out they're already being more eco-friendly than you may have thought. That's a great, great tip. Again, brands are listening to money. Money is supplied by consumers like you, so definitely don't be shy online. And yeah, there's a tip we shared, I think, on our TikTok too, about Amazon. How can you basically request plastic-free packaging from Amazon? Some folks were saying that Amazon is not doing it now. I don't know, maybe because of COVID or whatnot. But again, it's very important to communicate your beliefs and values to brands, and they will listen. They will listen.
For sure. I love that. I mean, that's just such a great story. Just finding that email or tweeting. I mean, that's even easier, right? You don't have to deal with email. Just reaching out and letting them know. I think that's awesome. So Caroline, I wonder if we've got quite a few folks here and in Facebook, and I'm curious to know if you had any advice for us on ways that our community can really affect change through sustainable actions in their daily lives. So, if we should just be really focused on recycling, or, I wonder if you had any top tips that you could share.
Totally. I think, as I said before, just becoming more aware of every product that you use and how you dispose of it. And I think that ultimately we can all reduce our footprint just by consuming less and being aware of, our consumer culture that we're in, and just, every product that you're about to purchase, just, do I really need this? And what is that impact? And how did it get there? A lot of the time it comes in a fancy little package and we don't think about the the environmental implications and costs that it took to get in our hands. But also at the same time, I think it's just having conversations like this and engaging in thoughtful, dialogue, and, something that you say could all of a sudden click a light bulb and make me think about my impact even in a larger sense. And I think conversation, thinking about consumer culture, and once we all start to make these changes, I think, as I said before, it will just kind of create this larger, more massive impact on a global scale. But I think that, it's once we're able to bring our reusable bags, once we're, and just using these reusable bottles and reusable cutlery, and just thinking about how these all little changes, and my brother just waved to me in all these little Zoom calls, the smallest little thing can get you sidetracked. But I think just ultimately just using as many reusable products that you can whenever possible, purchasing products that have some type of reusable content. And as I said before, just, becoming more mindful of what your impact is on every scale, and having conversations like this, because this is great. And I love hearing that someone just bought a toothbrush from recycled yogurt cups.
Yeah, that's really cool. Oh yeah, Bailey shared the link. That's awesome. Mira is saying, I buy secondhand athletic wear since it's usually made from synthetic. That's a great point, and usually plastic textiles. That's awesome. So my follow-up question on the actionable tips: are there any kind of brands or products that you've recently discovered that you'd like to give a shout out to? I always like to give a shout out for folks in the Bay Area for now. Zero Shop. It's a food delivery company. They're brand new. I think they literally started in January. I'm like a huge fan. I just got 3 bags of groceries from them, but everything is, packaged without plastic. So it's paper bags, glass jars, and you can return it all to them. Once they're delivering the new order, they pick up everything else that you've used in terms of packaging, including even the ice packs and little things that they add for preservation.
Oh, cool. There's a plastic-free shop, plastic-free shop that I use in Brooklyn, and we actually did a collaboration with them. The package-free, not plastic-free. It's package-free shop, and I think that they're great, and they have completely created a marketplace where you don't have to constantly go in and wondering, what if it came with plastic, or what the environmental impact is, and you can at least just be, more confident in the products that you're purchasing is having more or less of an environmental impact. So I love them. I think that they're great. I love going to second time around shops too for my own clothing, and because it gives you a challenge too to just be more creative about the products that you're purchasing, and everything like that, and just giving products a second life. And I think that's our goal with Fair Harbor too, is to give plastic waste a second life, but you can also do that with just reusing clothing, going to consignment shops and second time around shops, because they're doing that, but just in a different way.
That's awesome.
So that's
Laura, I'll give you a second to ask follow-up questions, but just want to remind everyone, if anyone has questions for Caroline, feel free to drop them here in the Zoom chat, or on in the Facebook group, or on our Facebook page as well. So don't be shy. We probably have about 5 minutes, right, Laura?
Yeah, so we typically like to wrap these up. I'd say, we probably got about 5 to 10 minutes. So if anyone has questions they want to ask Caroline, just hop in. You can literally unmute yourself. We already see most of your smiling faces, so please do. Oh, do I see somebody about to ask a question? Maybe? No? Don't be shy. I thought, okay, that's fine. I can ask one. So yes, I would love to know a little bit more. So I know that Fair Harbor uses recycled plastic in your materials. Somebody mentioned that they like to buy secondhand clothing, secondhand athletic clothing, to try and cut down on plastics being put back into the environment. So how do your fabrics hold up as far as shedding of plastic into the environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we encourage whenever people use our products to just, hand wash them and hang dry them. plastic fibers ending up in our oceans is a huge problem with any synthetic fibers, but you can do a lot of precautions to mitigate that impact. You know, there's a bunch of different technologies out there, like these guppy balls and these bags, and we always encourage our customers and our community to use these bags just with any product that they wash, no matter what, you know, if it's 100% polyester or whatever that is, just so we can, you know, all collectively work together to a brighter future. But I think that, you know, finding these new technologies and innovations like the guppy ball and like these, you know, bags that protect the synthetic fibers from going into the waterways. I actually always use one, no matter, you know, whether or not it has polyester in it, just to be safe, because we can always just be more conscious of, you know, what that impact is. But how about you? Do you guys have any tips for how you wash your clothing or anything like that?
So
I've
we've
been,
been looking, oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I've been seeing guppy balls, right? Is that what's it called?
Yeah.
Guppy friends, and then there's like the Cora ball.
The Cora ball. Yeah, we talked with them a lot, actually. They're great. I love what they're doing.
So yeah, I've been seeing a lot of this on TikTok, which is great. Like a long time ago, from my fair trade background, we've introduced the wool balls, so the wool dryer balls, which is great. They're literally handmade, and like we ordered from artisans in Kyrgyzstan who makes this beautiful felt rugs. And then we go to them, they're like, can you make these dryer balls, thousands of them? They're like, why would you use them? But now they're becoming more and more popular. That was like 5-6 years ago. And then yeah, there's more and more brands in the, you know, in the laundry space. I think Meliora, they have like those sticks, the stain remover sticks, and then yeah, the soap nuts, it grows in Nepal. I don't know if Package Free Shop or other brands are selling that, but yeah, there's a soap nut tree that grows, and like it's little fruits you can use instead of detergent, so like completely natural, definitely no chemicals. That's why kind of very quirky products
try that out.
Yeah,
that seems crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it out. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Ivy just mentioned in the comments that she uses the reusable wool balls. That's awesome. I had some reusable wool balls that we're using, but our dogs thought they were tennis balls. So I'd never seen them ever again. I was doing laundry once and they came and took them. Oh yeah, Mira's saying she loves those wool balls too. There's another option too, that where you can, if you're in your own place and you have your own washer dryer, you can actually, if this is a bit more advanced, and my husband's the big handyman around the house, so I've asked him to help me figure out how to do this, but you can actually install a filter on your basically at the part where your washer dryer meets the wall, you know, where the pipe is, there's a type of filter that you can install there. They're not, I mean, unfortunately, they're not super widespread yet. And I've been trying to find a company that is doing this bit cheaper because they're kind of expensive, but we've been trying to figure that out too, so that we don't even have to think about it when we wash our clothing. Another thing that we've given tips on before is when you're doing your washing, use the coldest water possible. You know, that obviously helps cut down on energy costs, but it also just helps prolong the life of your clothing, because at the end of the day, you know, we all want our clothing to last longer because it saves us money. It saves, you know, new items from have to create it to go on our body. It saves us from having to put those back into the landfill. So yeah, I mean, I think, someone's saying they think Girlfriend Collective sells microfiber filters. I'll have to check that out. But anyone who is in the space who's innovating on different ways to capture that, you know, plastic before it gets into the waterway, I think it's really fascinating. So we always come up with fun research things when we have these discussions. Like, I'll probably go do that when we get off the call.
We also missed one comment from Ivy too. She's saying this one is so basic, but recently Target has definitely upped their game on their eco-friendly products. And again, it's thanks to you, consumers and brands like you guys, who are making corporations like Target listen and actually forcing them to be more eco-friendly. Ivy saying, I just bought reusable plastic bags for snacks, and I saw a compost tin, wood reusable silverware, and a lot of other items. Super affordable, so great if you're just getting started on your zero waste life. However, I'll say that the packaging of these items are usually not the best. Yeah, I think Ivy, if I'm not mistaken, you found us on TikTok, and we've been posting a few videos, kind of eco-friendly finds from Target and even Walmart. And obviously not, especially Walmart, not an amazing corporation to support, to put it mildly, right? But at the same time, we have audiences, and obviously not everyone is so fortunate to live like in the Bay Area where there's zero shops all over the place. And, you know, I think like different coasts are much more aware, especially in the cities, in terms of like access to eco-friendly, fair trade, artisan made, all of these amazing products. But yeah, again, we want to meet everyone where they are. And yeah, unfortunately, not everyone is even living near Target. Not every Target has so many eco-friendly options. So yeah, it's been very interesting to see and kind of observe what the big corporations are doing on the eco-friendliness end of things.
On that point too, I've made my whole family during this time inside swap over to these beeswax coverings. So we don't use any foil or anything like that, or any saran wrap. It's just that one small, simple swap that just, I think, is making a big difference too. And so that's another product that I've been loving while being inside and everything.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been using beeswax too. I got them in my imperfect produce delivery, which I also love. I'm all about food, as you can tell.
You and me both.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was saying, for being a big city, Orlando definitely lacks on those options for me. So wherever I can, I find small wins like this, and I'll still take it. Exactly. And that's kind of where the original point that Caroline made, right? About small steps. No, but I don't think anybody will ever be perfect. Like, we had a zero waste expert, Catherine from Going Zero Waste. She even wrote a book about it. And even Catherine, you know, it's hard for her to be zero waste during COVID-19, especially. So let's not beat ourselves up because we are not perfect. Let's just focus on the small steps and things we are doing right. So
yeah, Lisa, to that point, we live by something at Fair Harbor. We always say progress, not perfection. And how can we just kind of work towards progress and not necessarily think about, you know, if we're not doing everything right, then we're not doing anything at all. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that, you know, we can just focus on these little changes accumulating, and just focus on progress, not perfection. So I totally agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, if you have any other last minute questions, feel free to give them a shout out. Otherwise, Laura, did we cover all of the questions? Caroline, is there anything else you'd like to add? Maybe we didn't get into something.
No, I think that's it. If anyone wants to check out Fair Harbor, it's fairharborclothing.com. And we have some exciting products coming up, and just would love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out at any time too. I'd love to follow up. And it was great chatting. And thank you so much for having me, Lisa and Laura. This is great to be here and be a part of the conversation.
Thank you for coming. I had a question really quick. When are you guys gonna start making women's swimwear?
Hopefully soon. You know, right now we're staying narrow and just kind of focus on what's happening right now. But hopefully down the line, and definitely stay tuned, because it could be on the horizon soon.
Very cool. Maybe I'll just get some men's and just cut up and make my own.
Honestly, we came out with a Henley a few weeks ago. It's actually made from recycled plastic bottles, tree bark, and spandex, and has UPF 50. And I wear the Henley shirt all the time.
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
Really comfortable. So it's definitely soft and everything like that. So, well, thank you so much. This was great. And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Caroline, thanks so much for sharing all the resources and tips with us. And we dropped the link to Fair Harbor, the website, fairharborclothing.com. Find them on Instagram and all the social channels, and check out their awesome swimwear. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great